it's Rita here. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the last day of the Supreme Court nomination hearings. Okay, and there's a huge overarching theme that if you watched, that's a huge overarching theme that was happening, okay, that I heard repeatedly. What I gathered, other than the fact that the Democrats used this time mostly to, cast fear about, Roe v. Wade and gun control and all this stuff, right? They use this to their, for politics, really, most of this time. But in this final day, there was one thing that was very, very clear to me, and that was they do not like our Constitution. They want to change the Constitution. Okay, that was one of the main overarching themes. Okay, Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, my hometown, or my home state, quoted Lori Lightfoot talking about how she felt like she was not an originalist. So Amy Coney Barrett is an originalist. She is a constitutionalist, and that is problematic for Democrats. Here's why that is problematic. Like I said, Dick Durbin was talking about how the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, is not a constitutionalist at all, and how he basically quoted something she mentioned this week, saying that somebody who is an originalist or a constitutionalist, however you want to slice it, is problematic for her, because when the Constitution, while she believes in the Constitution, when it was written, it did not take into account Black, gay women. And so she feels like the Constitution was written to be an ever-evolving document, right? And you've heard this before, right? Democrats saying that the Constitution is some living document. It is not a living document, okay? It is not. It is dead. It is a dead document. But the Democrats don't think that. They don't believe that. As a matter of fact, they are extremely unhappy with our Constitution, because what they want to use the federal government to exact their stances and their beliefs. Like, let's just say California. They want to turn this whole nation into California. They want to exact their beliefs, or force their beliefs onto the rest of the country, okay? The other half of the country, or I would say even more than that, who do not subscribe to their beliefs, but they are pretty bent on forcing us to do so. So my biggest takeaway was that they do not like the Constitution. So when we talk about the Democrat Party, right, or the Democrat Socialist Party, which some of members of Congress are part of, AOC, we should keep in mind that these people don't like our Constitution. So when we try to address them with, or address things that they say with arguments about how things are unconstitutional, yeah, they don't so much care for the most part, is what I realized in this final day of the hearings. They're not really concerned about holding to the Constitution. That is why Joe Biden won't answer the question about packing the court. As a matter of fact, he tells us that, it's really not our business, and all of this stuff, right? We don't have a right to know, I think he said, his response when the reporter asked him if we had a right to know, and he said, no, they don't have a right to know. So they're going to pack the court. They don't take issue with packing the court. Okay, we keep bringing up Justice Ginsburg, as kind of our rebuttal to, hey, even your Justice Ginsburg, even she was against packing the court. Joe Biden, he even said it, way back when, that he was against packing the court. It was a boneheaded idea, he said. But what we have to remember, what I've learned today, is that they have no regard for our Constitution. They don't care. They want to change it. That's why packing the court's okay for them. They want to rule federally over the states in a catastrophic way. Okay, so that's one thing that I learned. Or the other thing that I noticed today was they had a doctor on there basically talking about forced mask wearing. It sounded to me like he was advocating for enforcing mask requirements nationally. Okay, Interestingly, the doctor was also talking about economics, like, or not economics, but he was, talking about how he feels like people should be able to access Social Security, and he was advocating for a universal health care. And so this was a time for Democrats to really, if people were paying attention, then they really basically laid out their platform through this hearing. That's what I gathered. I gathered that they are anti-Second Amendment, severely anti-Second Amendment. They were so worried about the judge, about Amy Barrett becoming a judge, and they had this civil rights attorney, I think, I got to get her name, but the civil rights attorney on there, and she was all about the systemic racism stuff and just all about how there's voter suppression and basically how Republicans are playing a part in it. And it was just a big mess. Voter suppression against Black and Browns, as if, again, we're having this conversation that Black people, for some reason, we can't still, after all this time, can't figure out how to get identification, driver's license to go and vote, apparently. And so there's this talk about all of this stuff, but the main things I got was they want judges in there. They want to pack the court. That's number one. Make no mistake. They want to pack the court. And what I mean by packing the court is we have nine justices, well, 8 now, but 9 justices. That is the number. Okay. They want to extend that to whatever number is feasible to them, because these are life appointments. Right? These are lifetime appointments. So what happens is they want to expand the number of seats, so in hopes that they will have full reign of the court system. I mean, just think about that. No matter what side of the political spectrum you stand on, this is a bad idea. Okay? The courts are not there to create laws and, push their own agendas. That's not what they're there for. They are there to uphold the Constitution. That is what the Supreme Court is for. Now, but they want activists in there. They want people who are in there who are going to be activists. They want people in the Supreme Court. They want to expand the number of seats, because what they'd like to have happen is that they would like for it to be majority Democrats, right? So no matter what, whatever they are trying to implement will always, they'll just push it up to the Supreme Court. And if they have a majority, the Supreme Court will just push forward on whatever agendas, and it'll be the federal laws of the land. They want the states to have less autonomy, and they want the federal government to have more control over the states. Okay. They want to exact, like I said earlier, they want to be able to exact policies, let's say like California or whatever. They want to completely override the votes and the voices of the middle class. That's for sure. These are not people that are for the working class. Okay, they're not. These are people who are for the elites and for their select victim groups. These are who the Democrats represent. They don't represent the rest of America. Obama's administration basically tried to strong arm middle class Americans into buying his awful insurance, which is Affordable Care Act / Obamacare. And so, yeah, we kind of got messed over with that. Okay. And so when President Trump removed the fines that were associated with Obamacare, yeah, that was great for the middle class. Very last thing I noticed through everything, okay, this is not just about the hearing, but this is one thing I've noticed just overall. Democrats have such disdain for the middle class, the working class, the construction workers, the the blue collar people, the majority of this country. They have such contempt and such disdain for the middle class. You could just see it. They're so elitist. You just know they do. They don't care if you are middle class and you work a job and they provide great insurance, because they're not about that. They're not about that. They're all about the elite, because they know, let's face it, people who fall under the poverty line qualify for Medicaid. Okay, so they already qualify for socialized health care, if you will. Okay, so those are not the people that they're really hurting with Obamacare. The people that they're hurting with this are the middle class. They're not hurting people like themselves who have amazing insurance. they have great insurance, and those with big money have great insurance because they can afford it. So let's just be real about it. The people who were really affected heavily by Obamacare were mostly middle class who had decent paying jobs. And I mean, those are the people that were affected greatly. They hate small businesses. Don't you think for 1 second that Democrats are concerned about small businesses? They are not. They hate small business. That's why they enact so many regulations. They don't like people who are just have a family, who live in the suburbs, the traditional, I guess I should say, the traditional American life, the traditional American families, they have such contempt for us. Okay, so they hate our Constitution, and because we, the mid to upper middle class people, black, brown, it doesn't matter, white, doesn't matter what color you are, they have contempt and disdain for us because we represent traditional America, and they hate it. They want us all to be dependent on the government. They want us to lose our small coffee shops. They want us to not. They don't want us to be entrepreneurs. They don't want that. They want them and the 1% to be the only ones living well. They want the rest of us to be, standing in the cheese and bread line. They just continue to push their agenda. And yeah, so if you didn't watch it, you didn't miss anything. It was what you might expect. Okay, it was what you might expect. They couldn't find anything wrong with her record, so then they tried to attack her on the things that she ruled correctly on, constitutionally on, and then they tried to exploit our Constitution to say, see, look how she ruled in all these instances. We know that when the Constitution was written, basically it was a terrible, awful thing, and it didn't take into account black people and trans people and all this other stuff. So the Constitution, as Lori Lightfoot said, she is not an originalist, which Amy Barrett is, and that's problematic for them. So as long as you guys know, tell me what you guys think if you watched it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like I said, arguing constitutional points with them, it doesn't make sense. They don't care. Like I said, they could care less about our Constitution. They want to change this country into something else ultimately. And I think the sooner we kind of grab hold to that truth, the better informed we'll be, or the better off we will be when trying to have these conversations with Democrats mostly. I won't say all, but a lot of Democrats, they have bought into the lie that the Constitution is terrible and that the forefathers were terrible and that America is evil and all these other things. They bought into it. And so when you try to tell them about the Constitution, they're like, screw your Constitution. Like Lori Lightfoot said, it wasn't written for her. She felt like it wasn't written for her. So that's the sentiment in the radical Democrat Party today. This is not the Democrat Party of it is, but it's not, like I've said before, the Democrat Party of your great grandparents or whatever. It is, but it's not. There were still some boundaries or some things that they didn't cross. But this party today. So I think I'm just making this video not to anger everybody or freak everybody out, but I think that it's important that we understand what we're dealing with. And we're dealing with a group of a political party who has absolutely zero intention of keeping America. And that's my take. I will see you in the next video. Bye.